On March 20, 2006, the spring equinox arrives as the sun crosses the celestial equator, marking the true beginning of astronomical spring in the northern hemisphere. It is the sacred threshold between darkness and light, when day and night stand almost in perfect balance, and astrologically, it opens the gate to a new zodiac cycle through Aries. But not every equinox feels the same. Some come softly, like a whisper through an open window, and some arrive like destiny itself with a golden hand, a burning heart, and a strange certainty that life is about to change. This one belongs to the second kind. This spring equinox feels less like a seasonal shift and more like a cosmic verdict. It is the kind of sky that does not merely promise renewal, it chooses who will bloom first. There are moments in the year when the universe watches quietly, and then there are moments when it begins to interfere. The spring equinox of 2026 carries exactly that energy, a powerful rebalancing, a correction of old sorrows, a return of stolen joy, a chance to step onto the path that should have been yours all along. Doors that stayed closed through the winter may open without warning. People who felt invisible may suddenly become unforgettable. What seemed delayed may now arrive all at once: love, money, recognition, healing, the courage to begin again. The ancient mystics believed that the equinox was not just a date, but a living portal, a point of perfect tension between opposites, a day when the soul can choose its new direction with unusual clarity. And when the sun enters this new cycle, it does not shine equally on everyone. For 5 zodiac signs in particular, this equinox will feel like heaven has leaned closer. Their energy will become brighter, their instincts sharper, their luck almost suspiciously beautiful. They will notice that the right people appear at the right hour, that their words carry more power, that fear begins to loosen its grip. For these 5 signs, the equinox will not simply bring good vibes. It will rearrange timing. It will restore self-belief. It will pull happiness out of the future and place it in the present. And if your sign is among them, pay attention. The next few weeks may contain one of those rare chapters you will later remember with a trembling smile and say, "That was when everything finally began to turn in my favor." Today, the sun chooses its favorites, Taurus. For Taurus, this spring equinox arrives like a quiet miracle, not loud, not chaotic, not reckless, but deeply real. It enters your life the way sunlight enters a room that has been closed too long, slowly, warmly, and in a way that changes everything without asking permission. You are one of the chosen signs of this equinox because your soul is finally ready to receive what it once begged for. The heavy emotional fog of the past months begins to lift. Confusion fades. Fatigue loosens its hold. And in its place comes something you have needed more than luck itself: certainty. This equinox places you in an incredibly fertile energetic field. Things begin to take root around you. Ideas become practical. Feelings become mutual. Effort begins to pay. If winter taught you patience, spring will teach you reward. Expect positive movement in money, especially through work you can build steadily rather than gamble on. A conversation about income, a side opportunity, a generous client, a wise investment in yourself, all of these are favored now. You may suddenly understand that abundance is not far from you anymore. It is already circling, waiting for your confidence to catch up. In love, Taurus becomes magnetic in a softer, more irresistible way. This is not the season of chasing. This is the season of being recognized. Someone may look at you differently now, with sincerity, admiration, even devotion. Existing relationships can deepen beautifully if you stop carrying the entire emotional weight alone. The equinox reminds you that love is not meant to feel like labor. It is meant to feel like relief, like coming home, like exhaling after a very long winter. Your life improves because you stop doubting your own timing. A major internal shift happens now. You no longer want crumbs where you deserve a feast. You become less afraid to ask, less willing to shrink, less interested in old disappointments. And that change alone attracts better outcomes. By the end of this equinox chapter, many Tauruses will feel more grounded, more desired, more financially hopeful, and far more protected by fate than they have in months. This is your season of gentle restoration. And gentle does not mean small. It means powerful enough to last. Leo. Leo. The spring equinox lights a fire under your destiny. You are one of the 5 signs most blessed by this turning point because the sun, your ruling force, your celestial mirror, your cosmic crown, is preparing to restore your radiance in a way that feels personal. If you have been living below your true brilliance, this equinox will make that impossible. It wakes you up. It reminds you who you are when you are not apologizing, not waiting, not trying to make yourself easier for others to handle. It returns you to your own golden center. The first gift this equinox brings is momentum. Stagnation breaks. Plans that felt stuck begin moving. You may receive news, attention, invitations, or opportunities that remind you your presence still changes rooms. Career energy rises sharply here. This is a season when your charisma becomes profitable. Your talent becomes harder to ignore. The right people may finally notice what you have been carrying quietly for too long. Recognition, leadership, creative success, and bold new beginnings are all possible, especially if you stop editing your ambition to make others comfortable. Financially, Leo may experience a joyful breakthrough through visibility. The more honestly you show your gifts, the more life rewards you. This is not the time to dim yourself. It is the time to speak, launch, present, apply, create, negotiate. The equinox pushes your life forward through courage. Even one brave decision could trigger a chain of events that changes your spring completely. In matters of the heart, you glow. You do not need to force attraction now it arrives. Someone may fall for your warmth, your confidence, your laughter, your unmistakable spark. But the deeper blessing is not just romance. It is emotional renewal. If your heart has been bruised, this equinox helps you believe in joy again. It brings back flirtation, tenderness, playfulness, hope. It reminds you that passion is still allowed. Happiness is still allowed. Being adored is still allowed. The biggest change for Leo is this. You stop treating your dreams like a fantasy and start treating them like an appointment with fate. You become bolder, clearer, hungrier for life in the best possible way. And once that happens, the universe answers quickly. This equinox does not merely brighten your path. It puts you back on stage and says, now shine like you mean it, Libra. Libra, the spring equinox touches your life like a blessing written in light. Because the equinox is the season of balance, and balance is your sacred language, you are one of the signs most powerfully transformed by this moment. But do not mistake balance for passivity. This is not a quiet, decorative harmony. This is the kind of balance that comes after chaos finally loses its throne. The kind that restores beauty to your mind, peace to your heart, and order to the parts of life that felt emotionally expensive for too long. For you, the equinox brings a gorgeous realignment in relationships. Suddenly, things become obvious. You see who is nourishing your spirit and who has only been draining it. You understand where reciprocity lies and where you have been overgiving. This clarity is a gift. It helps you stop romanticizing what hurts and start choosing what heals. For some Libras, this means a relationship becomes sweeter, deeper, and more committed. For others, it means walking away from emotional confusion and stepping straight into self-respect, which will turn out to be the doorway to a much happier love story. This equinox also blesses your social and professional life. You become more persuasive, more attractive, more aligned, more fortunate in collaboration. Meetings, negotiations, creative partnerships, and even chance encounters can shift your future in beautiful ways. Money improves when you trust your value and stop underpricing your presence. You have a rare elegance now that draws the right people in. Use it. This is a brilliant time for agreements, public visibility, aesthetic work, media, branding, beauty, diplomacy, and anything that depends on connection. Emotionally, you may feel yourself becoming lighter, not because life is suddenly perfect, but because you are no longer carrying everything alone. The sun at equinox reveals a truth you need to remember. Peace is productive too. Rest is not failure. Beauty is not superficial. Softness can be a strategy when it is backed by wisdom. You do not have to live in survival mode to deserve success. The way your life changes for the better is through restoration of inner order. You sleep better, think clearer, choose wiser. You stop chasing noise and begin attracting resonance. The right invitation, the right person, the right decision. They come closer when you stop abandoning yourself for approval. Scorpio. Scorpio, the spring equinox does not arrive in your life gently. It arrives like transformation in its purest form. Not the kind that merely changes your mood for a few days, but the kind that changes your direction, your standards, your emotional temperature, and even the way the world responds to you. You are one of the 5 chosen signs of this equinox because the universe has decided you have carried enough. Enough tension, enough silence, enough inner storms nobody else fully understood. Now the light begins to work in your favor. For you, the equinox is a threshold between an old version of yourself and a more powerful one. You may notice that something inside you becomes suddenly clear. A fear loses its spell. A relationship reveals its truth. A burden you thought was permanent begins to fall away. This is what makes your spring so fateful. You are no longer being asked to survive emotionally, you are being invited to rise. And once Scorpio rises, nothing stays ordinary for long. In career and money, this equinox can bring strategic luck. Not random luck, but the kind that rewards deep instinct, patience, and perfect timing. A hidden opportunity may appear. A stalled matter may begin moving. Someone influential may take notice of your work, your resilience, your unusual intelligence. Financial improvement is especially possible through bold restructuring, changing how you work, what you accept, what you charge, or where you invest your energy. The message of the equinox is clear. Stop pouring gold into places that only give you dust. Your power grows the moment you choose yourself more seriously. Love also changes its shape now. If you have been wounded, guarded, or half present because the past taught you caution, this equinox begins to melt that armor from the inside. Not all at once, Scorpio never opens that way, but enough for real tenderness to reach you. An existing bond may intensify with honesty, loyalty, and emotional depth. A new attraction may arrive with unusual force, feeling instantly meaningful, as if the soul recognizes something before the mind can explain it. You are especially magnetic now because you carry mystery and truth at the same time. People feel that. They are drawn to your intensity, your depth, your ability to make ordinary connection feel profound. The biggest gift this equinox brings you is emotional rebirth. You become less attached to pain as an identity, less interested in chasing what confuses you, less willing to break your own heart to keep someone else comfortable. This is enormous. It means your intuition sharpens, your boundaries strengthen, and your happiness stops depending on the behavior of others. Once that shift happens, your whole life begins to reorganize around dignity, desire, and real possibility. By the end of this equinox season, many Scorpios will feel stronger, richer in spirit, more desired, more focused, and unexpectedly lucky. The sun is not erasing your darkness, it is teaching you how to turn it into power. This is your season of sacred renewal, and what returns to you now may be better than whatever left. Pisces. Pisces, this spring equinox feels like a blessing whispered directly into your soul. You are one of the 5 signs most favored by this cosmic turning point because your energy is especially sensitive to subtle shifts in the spiritual weather, and this equinox carries one of the sweetest, most restorative vibrations of the year for you. After a season of emotional heaviness, doubt, or quiet inner exhaustion, you begin to feel life warming again. Hope returns first as a flicker, then as a certainty. What looked lost may begin to reappear. What felt impossible may begin to soften. What hurt may finally start to heal. The equinox opens a portal of gentle miracles around you. Pisces often senses change before others can name it, and now your intuition becomes your greatest advantage. Pay attention to repeating signs, unusual meetings, vivid dreams, sudden inspiration, and unexpected invitations. The universe is speaking to you in symbols, and this time the message is beautiful. You are moving toward a happier chapter. This is a season when the right decision will often feel less like logic and more like inner peace. Trust that. Financially, Pisces can experience a lovely improvement through talent, creativity, compassion, intuition, or a path that once seemed too unrealistic to depend on. The equinox asks you to stop underestimating the value of your gifts. What comes naturally to you may be exactly what others are willing to pay for, admire, support, or celebrate. Money may arrive through art, communication, spiritual work, teaching, healing, media, care, or a project that carries emotional sincerity. Abundance grows when you stop dismissing your softness as weakness. In your case, softness is part of the magic. In love, this equinox is especially luminous. It brings emotional clarity and romantic possibility. If you are already in a relationship, the bond may become more tender, more intimate, more honest. Walls come down, gentleness returns, the heart feels safer. If you are single, this season may attract a meaningful person who sees not only your beauty, but your depth. Someone may be drawn to your sensitivity, your imagination, your quiet strength, your ability to love in a way that feels almost otherworldly. This is not shallow attraction. This is soul-level recognition. But perhaps the most important change is internal. Pisces begins to believe in life again. You stop assuming that disappointment is always around the corner. You become more willing to be seen, to speak your desires, to receive joy without guilt. This changes everything. Your energy brightens, your face softens, your aura becomes warmer, more magnetic, more open to blessings. And because Pisces is a sign that often manifests through feeling, this emotional shift quickly begins to transform outer reality too. The spring equinox teaches you that healing is not boring, and happiness is not naive. It is brave to hope again. It is brave to open again. It is brave to imagine that your best season may be starting now. And for many Pisces, that is exactly what this equinox will mean. The beginning of a softer, luckier, more beautiful life. Why this equinox will change everything for these 5 signs. The spring equinox of 2026 is not merely a date on the calendar. It is a dividing line between who you were in the shadow and who you become in the light. For Taurus, Leo, Libra, Scorpio, and Pisces, this cosmic threshold carries unusual grace. It does not promise a perfect life. Astrology never works that way, but it does promise movement, restoration, and the return of meaningful hope. For Taurus, life becomes steadier and sweeter. For Leo, brighter and more victorious. For Libra, more balanced and more beautiful. For Scorpio, deeper and more powerful. For Pisces, gentler and more magical. These 5 signs are not simply lucky now. They are aligned. And alignment can do what force never could. It can attract the right people without begging. It can open the right door without breaking it down. It can lead you toward the version of life that finally feels meant for you. If your sign is here, do not play small this spring. Do not ignore invitations that stir your spirit. Do not cling to the winter version of yourself out of habit. Let the sun find you. Let joy recognize you. Let this equinox become the moment you stopped expecting less from life. Because for these 5 signs, happiness is no longer far away. It is already on the way.